Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the Wobble Enjoy Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Regular season is done. I want to talk about my team of the year. Can you look at this video as a prediction for Dally M team of the year? Sure, but that's not what it is. This is my opinion. This is who I think the best of the best, 1 to 13, and I'll have a random interchange. I'll have a random interchange where 14, 15, 16, 17, just a couple of honorable mentions basically. But this is the Wobble and Draw Sports NRL team of 2023. And without further ado, and with zero surprise or any fight back, my fullback for 2023 is Reece Walsh. Dead set, his highlight reel in about 5 years' time is going to be absolutely insane. But what a terrific 2023 this bloke has had. It is unfortunate that he is not eligible for the Dally M medal, being that he was suspended for a handful of weeks there earlier on in the campaign. But without question, I do think that he has been the best fullback for 2023. Going into the wingers now, who are my wingers of 2023? This was hard. This was really hard. I whittled it down to three, and one of the options was a pure flip of the coin. But how can you not go past what Jermaine Zarko for the Dolphins has done for 2023? For the first time since 1990, I believe, since Mal Meninga did it, he is the first player since that year in 33 years to be on top of the try scoring and the point scoring in a single season for the Dolphins in their inaugural year. That is absolutely unbelievable. That's absolutely insane. And one of the tries of this season he scored at Optus Stadium against the Knights, where he leapt up for a catch and he just came out of nowhere and put that ball down beautifully. Azarko is one of my wingers for 2023. My second winger, oh man, really close, really close. But I can't go past, I cannot go past what Deline Watine Zalesniak has done for the New Zealand Warriors this year. He missed the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season and came within a bee's dick of finishing on top of the try scoring list. He was scoring doubles for fun. I think there was a game where he scored 4 tries or just a hat trick, but in any event, his impact cannot go understated. It's got to be waxed lyrical about. DWZ for the Warriors has been so good to watch, and he came back with a vengeance after he got knocked out in that game last year in Anzac round against the Storm, and it was like, oh man, what's going to be the story for him? Well, his story is that he's one of Wobble and Draw Sports wingers of 2023. What an accolade to put on one's resume. And look, I'll put this in here right now as well. The third man that I had for winger of the year, which obviously can't be anymore, but I'll put in my rookie for 2023 right here and now. Sunia Taruva for the Penrith Panthers, the young Fijian flyer, has been just as hard-hitting, just as dedicated, and as classy, as hard-working as Dylan Edwards has been. And a couple of years ago, you would have been like, okay, well, Dylan Edwards these days is the hardest working fullback in the NRL. And I'm telling you that Sunia Taruva on the wing has matched him in at least half of his games that he is featured in for the Penrith Panthers in 2023. Sunia Taruva is my rookie for 2023. The centers for 2023, for me, there is a clear-cut winner. I'm looking at the Penrith Panthers, and I'm looking at the man that's not going to be playing for the Penrith Panthers forevermore, maybe, forevermore at this point, and that man is Stephen Crichton. Stephen Crichton had a great World Cup campaign. He's been pretty much the good luck charm in a sense. Ever since his arrival in 2020, Stephen Crichton, uh, his skill, his work ethic has just molded beautifully with the Penrith Panthers and what they've wanted to do. And all he's ever known is friggin' success, Stephen Crichton. And I think it's been his best year to date. And it hasn't had as many brilliant highlight moments yet. Yet we've still got finals series to roll about. But I think Stephen Crichton, before State of Origin, a lot of people were still umming and ahhing about Stephen Crichton, and I think I was as well. But he blossomed really nicely. I know the Blues lost in the end, and they got trounced in game number 2. But even so, Stephen Crichton had an intercept moment in that contest. I think Stephen Crichton's been the best centre of the year. And while you could look at other centres and say, well, this dude did this in that game, I just think Stephen Crichton has played at a level really, really high consistently. Maybe not ever breaching onto, yeah, maybe once or twice, 3 times breaching onto that bracket of absolute brilliance. But I just think his season has been super consistent, and his defense, he might be the best defensive center in the game today. So my center of the year, or one of the 2 centers of the 2023 season, in my opinion, is Stephen Crichton. Shifting into the second center position, it's a bit tough. It's a little bit tough, this one. I'm looking at the Broncos and I'm looking at the Newcastle Knights, and I got to lean towards Kotoni Staggs. I think for as great of a moment Bradman Best had at State of Origin and the momentum he's carried on with it, I think Kotoni Staggs has been in the season consistently more than Bradman Best. It was a struck match between the two, but for me, it's Stephen Crichton and Kotoni Staggs, and I love that for Kotoni Staggs, or at least in my opinion anyway, because at the start of the year, I brought out a Raising Sand-esque kind of video, pretty much saying Kotoni Staggs is underachieving. I think he can do a lot better, and while he has had a moment this year, like the runaway try he had against the Dolphins in the first ever Battle for Brisbane matchup, I just think he's also played at a high level, played pretty consistently throughout 2023. So for me, Steve Crichton and Kotoni Staggs are my centres for the year. Going into the 5/8 position now, and I made a poll about this on my Twitter. Link in the description box below if you want to go and check that out. I'm absolutely buggered who to give this to. I don't know. I'm still a little bit unknown about it, but I know who I'm going to say in the end. But I got to give a rap to Cody Walker first of all. He was brilliant for the first half of the season, and like his team, fell off the face of the earth really intensely. He's still up there for try assists as far as being in the 5/8 position. He's had a pretty good year, Cody Walker, but just his last half of the season has really played games with me, to be honest with you. And the poll that I put up, it had Cody Walker, Jerome Luai, and Tom Dearden, and my winner. And Cody Walker got about, out of 90 votes or something like that, Cody Walker got about 17% of the votes. Luai and Dearden got about 13% of the votes. And I've got to just tip over with the consensus and say that Ezra Mann is the 5/8 for 2023. And I still feel kind of weird saying it, knowing how utterly brilliant Cody Walker was to start this year. But Ezra Mann, once again, I know I think he had a patch where it was either injury or it's just mid-season fatigue that maybe just he faded just a fraction. But the Brisbane Broncos finished the season equal first in second position. South Sydney down there in bloody 9th, 10th position, whatever they are at the moment. And Ezra Mam, let's be fucking real for a second, was just about the most exciting player of the competition for the first 4 or 5 weeks, in my opinion. His start to the season was just as good as Cody Walker's was. And he's also had moments like the flick pass round the back to Adam Reynolds in the game against the Newcastle Knights. Ezra Mam has still had great touches in other contests as well in the second half of the year. So yeah, I got to go with a consensus, and it's again, it's either Cody Walker or Ezra Mam. But for me, the 5/8 for 2023 in the National Rugby League, it's Ezra Mam, and I cannot wait to see even more of this bloke in the future. Fair dinkum. Halfback of the year. I'll get to that a little bit later. Let's go into the forward pack for 2023, and I think this, besides the fullback position, I think this is one of the easier decisions to make, and I'm going to keep this real short and sweet. You have two absolute pillars of strength filling these spots. One of them being Payne Haas from the Brisbane Broncos, who is going to go dangerously close to being the Dalian medalist for 2023. And the other almighty pillar of strength, doing his thing from across the ditch, is Aiden Fonua-Blake. Aiden Fonua-Blake is pumping out 70-minute performances every single week on a at a high level of consistency. Aiden Fonua-Blake, I think of the two, I think I've got to go with Payne Haas, but that's not to disrespect or take absolutely anything away from Aiden Fonua-Blake. For me, I think Payne Haas has been the best prop of the season, but it's literally by a hair, because I think Aiden Fonua-Blake has been monstrous, absolutely monstrous for the Warriors. But my two front rowers for the year, Payne Haas and Aiden Fonua-Blake. The hooker position. This is the strangest, I think it's the strangest position to try and judge on this season, because I look at someone like Api Coruscant, who I think was the best hooker in the game last season, and I think he did win the best hooker in the game last year or the year before. And you see what he's doing at the West Tigers. He's busting a gut to try and get the Tigers off the floor, and I think he has had a bit of a mixed bag, especially towards the back end of the season. And he did have that moment against the Dolphins as well, with that penalty kick from the sideline. So I look at Coruscant and go, he's worked his ass off, but the Tigers are down, languishing in the wooden spoon spot. So I couldn't give it to Api Coruscant. I couldn't do that. So who's the next one? And the eventual winner, yes, he's going to get it. But who else is there? Blake Brayley, would you give it to him? No, I wouldn't. Unfortunately, I can't give it to Reece Robson, in my opinion. What about Phoenix Crossland from the Newcastle Knights, bro? Being a halfback coming through, and then being a makeshift, moldable hooker that is very quickly becoming a hero, a fan favorite out there in the Hunter Valley. Phoenix Crossland, bro, is up there. He's up there. Maybe not top 2, but he's in the conversation. And then you think about Wade Egan, and I swear to goodness, if Wade Egan, and I bet he'd say the same thing too, if he could just stay on the fucking paddock, if he could play a full friggin' 80 minutes, play a full friggin' season, I'll tell you what, he still goes close to being the hooker of the year, but just his injuries have absolutely cruelled him of winning the Wobble and Jaw Sports Hooker of 2023. I'm sorry, mate, I know. I got to give it to Harry Grant. And that's not just, giving it to him by default. He's been pretty bloody good. I think there was a patch there where he scored or is on a winning streak right now where he has scored in like 5 straight games to finish out this season. He scored the match-winning try and golden point extra time for the Melbourne Storm in round number 1 against the Eels away from home. Um, do I think he had a better season last year? I think so. I think so. But like this is it's kind of weird because Harry Grant, I don't think he's been better than last year, but I think he's done just enough to be better than the rest. And I think Wade Egan was the second behind him for sure, snapping at his heels. In my opinion, to be the second best hooker of 2023. But as it stands, I'm going to give it to Harry Grant. The second rowers for 2023. One of them, I think, should be on everybody's list. If you don't give it to him as the best, he should be your second best. And for me, this makes him the best second rower of 2023. I think it's a pretty controversial decision if you don't have him either sitting in 1 or 2. And I'm going to give it to Britton Nikorda from the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Absolutely has come of age. The promise, the potential, it's always been there with him. I personally have always been very excited about his trajectory. I've always liked the look of him, but holy crap, he is going to be surely he should be one of the starting second rowers for New Zealand when the Pacific Championships kicks off at the end of the season. I think Britton Nikorda in attack, in defense, I think he's been scything, absolutely scything. His try scoring rate is good. Is good as well. Yeah, I just think he has been pretty damn nice for 2023. And then the other second rower, yeah, who else really does stick out to you? There's a Tyson Frizzell who just has a work rate, no brilliant moments. Does he get it? No, not for me. Does Haumole Olakau'atu get it? Unfortunately, I think he had a quite a lengthy patch. I don't want to say it was halfway through the season, but it was like on either side of it where I don't think he was as impactful as what he could have been, as what others hoped that he should have been. So I don't give it to Olakau'atu. Not saying he had a bad season, of course. But for me, I'm going to look at the Penrith Panthers, and I'm going to look at the other Kiwi, Scott Sorensen. I think Scott Sorensen has filled that void that Viliami Kikau has left. And at the start of the year, it was a little bit clunky for Jerome Luai. But Scott Sorensen, man, I think every club in the NRL would be pretty damn happy to have his services based off of this season. And you put him on a one-on-one matchup with Britton Nikorda, who I just mentioned, and you still sit back and go, well, could Scott Sorensen get the better of Britton Nikorda or a Olakau'atu or a Viliami Kikau or Tyson Frizzell? And the answer is yes, he could. Maybe on the day not. But I think Scott Sorensen, I think he's at his best season. I think he's at his absolute best season. And I would feel very comfortable to have him in my team. For sure, man. So my second role was for 2023. Britton Nikorda and Scott Sorensen, both New Zealanders who could do some serious damage come the end of season test matches. And the lock of the year. You know, I don't want to show too much disrespect here, but I think it's pretty clear. I think it's really clear. But I've got to give an honourable mention to Isaiah Yeo. I've got to give him an honourable mention. But I think while his breakout year was last year, I think this season has absolutely cemented him as elite, an elite player of the game. Pat Carrigan. If you give it to Isaiah Yeo, I will not fight back. I would completely understand it. But I'm going to be surprised if he makes it to, if I see his name in the lock position on more than 10 other people's lists. You know, I think Pat Carrigan has absolutely, owned the lock position for 2023, and I think there's going to be a hell of a case to be made that it's his, like the lock position in the NRL or in World Rugby League, the best lock in the sport across the globe from now on, and for a really long time, seemingly, it might be going towards Pat Carrigan. And about 2 years ago, I couldn't see it. I'm going to be really honest. I couldn't see what everybody was talking about Pat Carrigan. I reckon he was good for 2 errors and 3 penalties a game, or vice versa. And then in 2022, it went, oh my God. He just went insane. And I think, while he had a great year last year, I think he's had an even better season this year. So I'm going to give it to Pat Carrigan as my lock of 2023. So here is a really weird, not to be taken seriously interchange, like some honourable mentions for my team of the year who won't have on the interchange. So in jersey 14, I'd have Adam Reynolds. I don't think enough is being made about how truly great he has been for 2023 and for the Brisbane Broncos this year in particularly. I think he is second in line for halfback of the season. And the number 15 jersey I would give to Isaiah Yeo for sure. In jerseys 16 and 17, I'm going to give it to Wade Egan. He's been supremely great. Supremely great. What the hell am I talking about? I think he's been supremely tough. And I think it's always been there in him as well. I think I've mentioned about another few players beforehand, but the potential in Wade Egan has always been there. We finally saw it. I just now hope in finals and forevermore, I hope he can stay relatively injury free. And jersey number 17, I'd have Tohu Harris in there as well. And to be honest with you, while he doesn't make the 1 to 13, and it might sound strange or what have you, it's happened in the Dally M, so I can do it here as well. I think I'd give Tohu Harris the captain of 2023. I think of the Penrith Panthers, Isaiah Yeo and Nathan Cleary. Yeah, Isaiah Yeo is a really good leader, and Nathan Cleary's unfortunately missed 6-7 weeks or so through injury. Then the Brisbane Broncos, you look at Adam Reynolds and Pat Carrigan, sure. Melbourne Storm, you look at Cameron Munster, for example, as a captain. But then I look at Tohu Harris and his co-captain, and I think Tohu Harris, who has looked like a mummy every single game this season, I think he is to be absolutely commended, and he has had his best year since 2017, for sure. I think Tohu Harris has shown such tremendous leadership throughout this season and throughout 2022 as well. I'd have to give Tohu Harris me last spot on the interchange bench, but I'd actually give him the captain of 2023, to be perfectly honest with you. And jersey number 18, just for some giggles as well, I've got to make a special mention of Jacob Preston, eh? Like, what an absolutely stunning debut season. Again, I give it to Sunia Taruva, but Jacob Preston, he is the shining light for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs of 2023. You got to do everything and anything to wrap that bloke up to a long-term contract. Now, there is one more position that I have yet to touch on, and there is one more sort of accolade to bestow upon someone, and that is my Dally M halfback of the year and my player for 2023, throughout the regular season anyway. Shaun Johnson. Payne Haas, I can rock with as being the player of the season, for sure. I can rock with somebody, Adam Reynolds, putting Adam Reynolds as the halfback of 2023. But Shaun Johnson, to come back where he's come from and to go to that level that we all hoped that he would for the New Zealand Warriors, after it, to be honest, was not there last season. he is just stunning, absolutely stunning season from Shaun Johnson. For me, Shaun Johnson is the Dally M halfback of the year. He is my halfback of the year, and he is my player for 2023. I think he is the story of 2023. I think Shaun Johnson's just absolutely killed it, and I reckon he's loved every single second of it. He's loved every bloody moment of it. Uh, yeah, just wow, Shaun Johnson. So here is my team list. Here it is now. And there you have it. That's my 1 to 18. And a special mention to a rookie captain of the year as well. A rookie and a captain of the year, I should say. And my player of the year too. So that's it. That's my team of the year. Thank you very much for giving this video a crack, guys. And I'll see you guys in the finals week 1 edition of the Ace High Tips show. Thank you very much. Take care. Adios.